Okay, so number 6 in 1.3 here, build your skills question. It says George works in a furniture store where he earns a commission of 12% on all his sales. So a commission, you guys, maybe, how many of you work in retail and make commission? Anybody? Anybody? No? Sell shoes or sell anything? Okay. You may work in retail sometime, and your salary would be based at least partially on commission, which means that if you sell more, you make more. Okay? And the commission is always a percentage of the sale, usually before tax and everything. So 12% means that if George makes a sale of $500, he makes 12% of that. So 12% of that money goes to him. So obviously, if we're talking about selling furniture, right, the furniture itself must have cost the company a lot less than $500. And that makes sense, right? Like usually the companies either build or buy something and then they sell it for more, right, to make money. That's what businesses do. And so part of that profit for the company would be given to the salesperson, right? So in this case, George is making 12% on all his sales. So the question is, how do you find out how much commission George will earn on $500, $1,000, and $2,000? Anybody know that? Yeah? Well, you don't want to times it by 12, but you're close, 12%. Or, no, not divide either. You're closer with the multiply. 500 times, now you're right, 12%, but we have to multiply by the decimal form. Okay? So the decimal form of the percent is always when you move that the percent, you move the decimal place back 2 times. So 12% becomes a decimal of 0.12. Everyone see that? Okay? So 500 times 0.12. That's how much money George would make on $500. So 500 times 0.12 is $60. Okay? So George would make $60. Okay? That's commission on $500. Any questions on that?
If you times it by the percent, if you use the percent,
yeah. If you have a percent button on your calculator and you got that figured out, totally fine. Like 500 times 12% equals. That might work on that's totally fine. What the calculator is doing is turning the percent into a decimal like this for you. That's what it's doing. Yeah. Calculators, they are smart. Okay, so how much money, guys, now watch this. How much commission is George going to make on $1,000? What's 2 ways we could figure that out? 2 different ways. You could do what?
The exact same as you did with 500?
You could. You could do the exact same thing you did with 500 except change the 1,000. What's the other way? Anyone think of another way that you could figure that out? Given what we've just done? Add a 0. Well, not quite. Not add a 0. But watch this. Look at $500. He makes $60. This is twice as much as $500. Wouldn't he make twice as much as this? Wouldn't he make $120? If the sales are worth twice as much, wouldn't his percentage be twice as much as well? Let's see if that works. So 1,000 times 0.12. Well, when we multiply by 1,000, you might remember the shortcut. All you have to do is move the decimal place to the right 3 times. And what happens if I move the decimal place to the right 3 times? That becomes 120. So let's just double check. 1,000 times 0.12 is, look at that, 120. Okay, so using that method number 2 that I just talked about, without doing the multiplication on your calculator, how much money would he make for 2,000? Compare that with this amount of sale. How much money would he make? $240. Very good. Very good. See, that's double 120. See that? And of course, that is 2,000 times 0.12 is 240. That's true. Okay, so does that help with A? Yeah? Okay. B might be the trickier part. Write an equation that shows the relationship between his sales and his commission. Which is the independent variable? Okay, so first of all, let's write an equation. Let's summarize, guys. This is what we're doing. Let's summarize what we've done here. Okay? So what have we done here? We have done this would be in all three of these examples, that's S. This is the sales, right? The sales. Now, the money that the sales are worth, and we've multiplied it by the same number, that's 0.12. That's what we've done in each case. Now, I put S here because the sales can be any amount, any amount. We've used 3 examples for amounts. But because we can change these amounts and put any number in there we want, that's like a changing variable, isn't it? So we would represent that as S. Over here, this is not the same number each time. This is a different number each time, and this would be the commission, profit, whatever. So they say commission here. So let's make it C. It's the commission. So how do I find C? Well, we look at what we did in A, and we would go C, the commission, equals what?
Only 12%.
12% of the sales. Okay. And what would I write then? C equals what? How do I find that out? What times what? What do you think? C equals what times what? Caleb?
C equals S times 0.
S times 0.12 or 0.12 S. See that? So we're trying to make an equation where we can substitute different sales amounts, so the relationship between his sales, whatever they may be, and the commission that he makes, whatever that might be. So those are both variables. And because the 0.12 is the exact same every time, we just leave that as the number because it's the same number every time. It doesn't change. S can change, and so can C. All right, so that's your answer right there. So for C, right, it says sketch a graph for George's income from his sales of 500, 1,000, and 2,000. So we want to sketch the income for each one of these sales. Which one would be the independent variable? We actually didn't answer that question there in this one. But what's the independent variable? That means which one did we start with in order to do our calculations, and which one did we end up with? Which one did we start with? Well, which variable do we start with? Which variable?
The starting cost of that thing that is on.
Right, the sales. Right? We determine the commission because we started with the number of sales, the amount of sale. So we started with that, sales, then we multiplied 0.12 to get commission. So the one we start with is the independent variable. The one we get is the dependent variable. So what's the answer to, where am I going to put the sales? Am I going to put the sales over here, or am I going to put the sales down the bottom? Where am I going to put the sales? Okay, some say the vertical, some say the bottom, some say... Where does the independent variable go in a graph? Who remembers that? The independent variable goes in the bottom, always. So guess what? This is sales down here. Right? And this is commission. Okay? So we're going to sketch the graph of a sale of 500. So we're going to go... We got to put 500, 1,000, and 2,000 on here, and we have to make sure the scale is appropriate. So if we put, let's say if this is 500, let's say every 2 squares is 500, then this is going to be 1,000, and then 2,000 is going to be way over here. See that? So you got to make that scale appropriate. So each square is 250, let's say. Look right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the commission is going to be up here. So you know what the commission is from last time, right? It was 60, 120, 240. So I guess we're going to have to go, we can go 60 maybe here. And then this is going to be 120, right? And then 240 is going to be up here. And so each square here is going to be $30. And then we simply plot the points. So what goes with 500? What's the commission that goes with 500? Look on B. Look at your A, your letter A. What's the commission for 500? Remember? Shout it out. Did you just find it?
Is it 0.13?
No, that's the percent commission. What's the value? Yeah, 60. Okay. So that's the first point. 500 goes with 60 right here. See that? Okay. 1,000 goes with what dollar amount? 120. So we're going to put that point in there. Okay, so when we've placed all 3 points, then we're going to connect the points. And, it means that points in between the ones that we've stated. So let's say he sold $1,500 worth here. Would it be reasonable to expect him to make somewhere between 120 and 240? Yeah. So all these points in between here make sense, depending on what the sale is, right? So we can connect them. Now, what is the slope of this line? Well, I've got 1 point. Let's use this one. This is the point 2,000, 240, right? That's like x2, y2. What's another point that I'm given? Well, I know I have this one. Which one is this? It's this one right here. This is going to be x1, y1. So let's find the slope. M equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Do you remember that? The rise divided by the run. So go ahead and calculate that. So D says how much commission, how much did he sell if he makes $210 in commission? And so if you look at the equation there, you start off like this. That's the equation. So we know commission and we try to find sales. So we just solve for S and it's 1750. Okay, so that rounds out question number 6 there. So just double check that. Make sure you've got 1750 there. Okay, make sure you know how to do that. Make sure you show all your work. That's number 6.